Welcome back and join us again in this discussion of ours, the Sports Chat on Morning Express program. And remember, we are talking about African Cup of Nations, which was concluded last night with Cameroon winning after beating Egypt 2-1. And I've been talking again to Gilbert Andera and Ken Nato, who is a consultant sports media guru. Guys, we were talking about Cameroon and saying really that nobody expected them to win this tournament, but then they pushed all the way. Remember the semi-final, how difficult it was against the Ghanaians, but then they made it to the final. And the fact, like you raised that the idea that so many, as many as 7 Cameroon senior players refused to play for Cameroon at the tournament, but then these guys have gone all the way now to win the title. How would they be feeling now, people like Matip, Choupo-Moting?
What I can say is that it's like the cast is dying. For now, to get that opportunity, it's going to be very hard for them to break into the team. You see, like these other players sacrificed and were there. So, for me, what I can say now, they're regretting. That's my opinion. They
should be regretting now. Remember, Gilbert, there's been this debate about playing for your national team, for your country, but we all know how disorganized sometimes the national associations are, and even governments refusing to back national teams. So were they within their right to decline to join the Cameroon team in Gabon, or they should have forfeited the idea of having to earn using the national team and play for Indomitable Alliance?
That's a difficult question, but I think, in a way, I think they should have forfeited. You know, especially looking at the kind of glory, you know, that comes from you know, winning such a prestigious tournament. So definitely they've lost out on that. But then again, on the other hand, you know, they want to stay in their teams and, you know, not lose their positions in their teams. You know, I mean, their clubs. I mean, that's what pays their, you know, their bills. That's their day job.
Sure.
So it's really a very tough decisions to make between them. But I think the urge to play for the national team should have won. You know, and then so that they come and play for their national team. Look at all the glory that they're missing out right now.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Joel Matip, for instance, the Liverpool defender, is on record as having said that he had retired from the national team. And even Klopp, Jurgen Klopp, the Liverpool coach, really said that he's baffled by Cameroon's insistence that Matip should play for them. But we all know he's been playing for Cameroon. That must be now putting him under pressure back in Liverpool.
Yeah. One thing is that first, when you look at the time when he went back, Liverpool has lost about 3 matches. So even his presence at Liverpool was inconsequential. So, and another thing now is that now playing for the national team also would have added his value. So by being out of the national team, now flopping at Liverpool at around such a time, missing out on the glory, he's lost it.
Yeah, because former Senegal striker El Hadji Diouf said that these players will regret, you know, snubbing Cameroon, and he says that maybe they did not listen, or they have not even listened to Bob Marley's song that's talking about the need for you to go back and play for your African roots.
Yeah, certainly. And I think also the bigger problem is, you know, the European clubs. I don't know, the coaches seem just to have a problem with the Africa Cup of Nations. So I think that's the bigger problem.
Is it because it is a 2-year tournament?
I don't know. I don't know why they don't make noise about why they don't make noise about the Euro Cup and all those other tournaments.
Maybe that comes after 4 years.
But then again, still, I mean, I think they should understand that, you know, the Africa Cup of Nations is as important as any other tournament. And so these players need to go and play for their countries. Because playing for your country, it's the biggest thing you can ever do as a player. So I think, because I don't think CAF will ever change the calendar of the Africa Cup of Nations.
Yeah, because they want to improve their game on the continent.
Exactly.
And remember, Bob Marley, according to El Hadji Diouf, said that if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where to go. So it means that people like Choupo-Moting, Alan Nyom really don't know where they come from.
Yeah, from that song, self-explanatory. Yeah, it's just direct. And then again, on top of that, again, as we are looking at Cameroon's glory, I want to be superstitious, but also, I think it also has got also to do something with the coach, Hector Cooper. He's somebody who is unlucky when he reaches the finals. So
because I heard the commentator saying that that was his 6th final. He had lost the previous 5. Now, last night was his 6th final losing.
Yeah, we first, in 1998, with as the coach of Real Mallorca, they reached the Copa del Rey finals. They were beaten by Barcelona. The following year, still with Mallorca, again, they reached the Cup Winners' Cup, UEFA Cup Winners' Cup against, it was Lazio. They lost. The following year, 2000, they lost to Real Madrid in the UEFA Champions League. 2001, they reached again the finals of the
When he was coaching
UEFA.
Valencia, I think.
Yeah, at Valencia now. Again, he lost to Bayern Munich. And then now, in 2002, when he was the coach of Inter, in their last match, which would have determined them winning the league, by then, the last time Inter had won the league was in 1989. So in 2002, what happens is that in their last match, they were beaten 4-2 by Lazio, and then Juventus won the league.
Really?
Somebody who's just been
But
unlucky.
then he has come back. He's kind of reinvented himself, taking Egypt all the way to the finals. Remember, Egypt had not qualified for the African Cup of Nations 3 consecutive times, but then Hector Cooper getting them to the finals. Do you think the Egyptians would really be happy with him now that they are almost at the top?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, really, I didn't expect Egypt to reach the final because really, like you're saying, they've missed out, like Nigeria for so many of the tournaments.
Not to mention Kenya.
So I think Egypt should be happy with him. I think he should now be given time to build, probably a new team for 2019. Probably he'll be lucky then.
Really, the Cameroonians should be celebrating today in Yaoundé. From last night, of course, the party must have started. And while Cameroon are celebrating, of course, here back in Kenya, we have our own problems. Remember, the rugby sevens team was in Sydney, Australia, and all they came back home with is only 2 points. And that should worry everyone. People are now saying that the honeymoon is over for the coach, Innocent Simiyu. Gilbert, do you share the same view?
Yeah, I share the same view, but it's so unfortunate that Innocent Simiyu finds himself in such a situation. Honestly, okay, according to me, I think the team should not have been changed from last year. The team under Benjamin Ayimba was doing very well. So I don't know, the momentum was broken. So now we are feeling the consequences are coming right now. Yeah, because now the team has taken a lot. Also before the team was picked, there were a lot of issues with the team about allowances and everything. So I think the team doesn't just have the focus, to play. And so Innocent finds himself in a very unfortunate situation. He'll need a lot of time to be able to gel and pick with the team. So I don't know how long it will take, but it's a very unfortunate situation that he finds himself in.
How big is this task for Innocent Simiyu?
I think it's very big. He really needs a lot of time, a lot of support. I just hope the senior players are supporting him and there's no sabotage, but he'll really need a lot of time to get in sync with the team.
Ken, do you think there's goodwill at KRU and also goodwill from the fans to ensure that Rugby Sevens will start ticking the right boxes?
Yeah, there's goodwill. At the management level, there's goodwill, given that they gave him this opportunity. And maybe where I can look, still it's at the players' level. That's where I think that's where the problem is. Because you find that there's that big boy syndrome. Some of the players maybe, I can just give like an example of around 1996 when Nigeria was being coached by Osita Modu. And then the players, the professionals, were saying, this is not the kind of coach who can handle us. You see? And then they also they almost paid for that when we held them in the World Cup qualifiers here in Nairobi.
It's very important for players, you know, to get down to work and appreciate the coach that has been put at their disposal. Because Innocent Simiyu was said not to have much experience. I don't know if that could be playing into the minds of these rugby players. But then let's now move on to another burning issue, which is the African Nation Championship that Kenya is going to host. Because with Africa Cup of Nations now over, focus on, or attention shifts to Kenya, who hosts the African Nation Championship in January. And with the infrastructure that is nothing to write home about, a lot of concern is now coming up over Kenya's preparedness. With infrastructure, nothing, like we said, nothing to write home about, there remains real danger of Kenya being stripped of the hosting rights. Kenya won the hosting rights in January 2015, but it was only last Friday that the government gazetted the local organizing committee. Last year, the Confederation of African Football rejected 5 stadiums Kenya had put forward to host Africa's second premier competition. That is the Nyayo National Stadium, Moi International Stadium at Kasarani, Kisumu, Mombasa County Stadium, Kenyatta Stadium, and Kinoru Stadium in Machakos didn't meet the CAF requirements, while only the Safaricom Stadium Kasarani met the required standards. Guys, we saw magnificent stadium that was put into the disposal of African football in Gabon. Very good stadiums. We saw one in Libreville, the one that hosted the final last night. We had stadiums in Franceville, OEM, and Port-Gentil. I don't know, from your perspective, do you think Gabon outdid itself in hosting the AFCON?
Yeah, I think so. And then you consider that they just hosted it in 2015. They hosted the Cup of Nations with Equatorial Guinea. So I think they really went out and invested a lot. And yeah, we all saw what they did. Yeah. So
yeah. What did you make of the Gabon Stadium, Nato?
The Gabon Stadium, to me, they were okay. Apart from the few complaints we had from Avram Grant and some other coaches that the pitches were causing injuries to some of the players. But when you look at the way they've been built and then the number of stadiums again which were ready to host, it seems their preparedness was good.
There was a story that we ran in the Standard newspaper showing all the facilities of the Gabon as a nation that they put at the disposal of Africa in hosting that tournament. But then back home here, there's a real danger that we could be stripped of the hosting rights of the African Nation Championship. Do you also feel the same way, that we could lose the hosting rights, Gilbert?
Okay, I don't want to be negative, but I don't think it has reached that level because I still think CAF is willing to bend over backwards and really help Kenya to host this tournament. However, I think we need the government, especially from the government side, there needs to be some seriousness that especially like you said with infrastructure.
Because part of those cover shots you can see, those are the stadiums in Gabon. They put they put out to host the African Nation Championship. Some of the photos also shows us what Ethiopia, what Zambia have put in place, and they could be salivating. At the chance or the prospect of Kenya losing the CHAN hosting rights so that they could be given.
Certainly, and that's why, like I said, now we need to stop talking. We need to start doing the work. CAF needs to see that we are serious about doing the work. Like you said, but I also want to say, Nyayo also, CAF said Nyayo also can be, Nyayo also can actually host, but it needs a lot of work.
A lot of work,
but it can host actually. I talked to the chairman of FKF last week, and he was saying that there are several stadia that are being worked on.
Which ones? Because if my director could please help us, give us some of those shots of Kenyan stadia so that we can see. Because from what we are seeing, that's magnificent. But let's have a look at what Kenya have in place.
Okay.
Yeah. and then maybe you can tell us what you think about some of those stadia.
Okay.
We say there's Kasarani, there's Nyayo Stadium,
Nyayo, yes.
there is Kinoru.
Kinoru, yes. Then Machakos. They're also looking at Machakos.
Machakos.
And Eldoret, eh?
Yes.
Yes. So I think that's where the focus will be right now. Yes.
Yeah, that's Kasarani.
That's Kasarani,
and CAF have said that at least that is the only stadium that passes the minimum requirements, but with the Nyayo Stadium. But now we can see those cover shots of Kipchoge Keino Stadium. I don't know, Ken Nato, do you think with that kind of infrastructure we can put up a good party for Africa come January?
No. I don't see. Maybe if you are given, then what is going to happen? They are going to embarrass us as a country. Because with that kind of infrastructure, I don't think we are ready. In fact, even talking of Kinoru, the other day the Sports Kenya, I think there is also a problem. The Sports Kenya chairman said that Kinoru does not meet the standards. Does not meet the standards. So even the government is not even serious as much as we are looking at Safaricom, Kasarani. We are supposed to be hosting this year the World Under 18. Nothing has happened. In fact, even if the works would have been done, it would have boosted our chances. So what I feel is that we are not prepared, and it should not reach to these levels also whereby we wait when we are about to host something. That's when we do what we start thinking about.
When Kenya put up their bid to CAF to host this nation championship, it was on the back of the understanding that the Jubilee government, as it promised in its manifesto prior to the 2013 election, said they'll put up 5 world-class stadia. Did the FKF put that in mind when they were bidding for the tournament? Because at some point we liked also to if we can get to Sam Nyamoya, the former FKF president, who worked so tirelessly to bring the Chan here. We'll talk to him if we can get through to him.
Yes.
But was that a consideration?
Certainly. It was certainly a consideration. And that's why it's very disappointing that not even one of the 5 stadia have been built up to now. And I think when the FKF under Sam Nyamoya, when they bid for the Chan, they knew that we would have the kind of infrastructure that would help us to be able to host that competition. That's why it's very disappointing. I don't know what Wario has to say about this or the government, but it's very, very disappointing that up to until now, we just were shown the plans, but nothing has happened on the ground. So it's really disappointing, yes.
How did we come all to this? Because, Ken, we expected that with the kind of economy that we have compared to countries like Burkina Faso who have hosted African Nation Championship, even Gabon itself, how did we find ourselves in this situation? What is wrong with our nation?
Lack of seriousness, that's what I can say. Secondly, you'll find that sports is not usually given that consideration. Because you'll find, you look at the budget, they give budgetary allocation. Sports is usually given the smallest.
The smallest.
You see? And you see, again, even our legislators in parliament, you'll find that they're also not serious to push the agendas of sports. The only time you'll find them talking about sports is when they're having those probe committees probing something that has happened. And traveling, maybe when like recently when we're having the Olympics, they could travel there. And then for them, they're saying it's like they want to see and have a familiarization tour. So, and you see, and then from those trips, they're making money. So it's for them, for the legislators, sports is a cash cow. But you see, they're not committed. Even we have several legislators who've passed through sports before they went to be MPs. So the thing is that a lack of seriousness in sports, and it's like they don't see the value.
Because if you compare with Gabon, for instance, they spent almost close to $1 billion in putting up all those stadiums, and including inviting Lionel Messi, the Argentinian striker, as well as Barcelona striker and midfielder also. to go there and lay the first foundation stone when they built Port Gentil Stadium in Port Gentil. What if we said that Kenya copies the same trend in Africa where governments are now investing in sport? Do you think we can get the kind of seriousness that we are seeing outside there?
Yeah, certainly, because even like I think also the top leadership of government needs to be on the forefront of this thing. Look at Rwanda when they hosted CHAN last year. You know, President Kagame, I mean, he was the forefront pushing for this thing. Even when the CAF delegation came, they went to see the president. But you see, when the CAF delegation came here, they never saw the president. Okay, they saw the deputy president, but they didn't see the president. So I think also, and I hear they were a bit disappointed that they never really saw the president, because at that level it shows now the seriousness. And yes, I agree with you. If the government takes center stage in pushing, then we will see progress. But until that happens, I don't see.
Because we've seen the kind of study Ethiopia is now putting in place, about 5 of them, without even the ambition to host any of these tournaments, but they're just preparing for the future.
Exactly.
How come that does not happen in Kenya?
And that's why I said we should not wait when we are bidding or want to host an event to be able to do that. You know, like, that's why I say, just as Gilbert said, we are talking about the top leadership from the president, but also, again, even our members of parliament. If we had, like, let me take an example of Makadara MP, Bernard Mutura, when he laid an AstroTurf. You know, it was unimaginable. We didn't imagine that. We only thought that it's only the government which had the capacity of laying an AstroTurf, or maybe getting some donations, like maybe you see like City Park, that project through the international body. So if we had those people who are committed, let's say like the way the Makadara MP is, I believe that we can have a lot of sports facilities, because you look like at Camp Toyoyo now, where they lay the AstroTurf, you find that now even Gor Mahia train there. So if at all our leaders, apart from the top leadership, took these things
because
seriously.
It's not the president who passes the budget or does all that. We have various agencies. And remember, one of the stadiums in Gabon, that is Franceville, and even Port Gentil, they used 11 billion shillings to build a 20,000-seater stadium. And at Port Gentil, I think, is 40,000-seater. But when Parliament allocated 1.8 billion as part of the plans to build a 5 world-class stadium, were you jolted, Gilbert, to imagine that 1.8 billion can put up 5 world-class stadiums?
That's really a lack of seriousness, yeah? Okay, I know they said it was a private-public partnership, but still that was very little money. I think the government should have put like maybe probably 20 billion, you know, or 20 billion probably, and then try and look for maybe another 20 billion from the private sector. Then it's serious. But 1.8 billion, okay, I know they said it's seed money, but it was very little. There's nothing that could be done with that.
Yeah, because we've seen how much has been put in Kipchoge Keino Stadium, close to 300 million now, but you can't see that on the ground. Yeah.
Even for the World Youth, the money, the government is yet to release the money to even start the works.
Yet we are talking about hosting the CHAN Championship in January.
No, the World Youth,
the World Youth
this year, even the money is yet to be released by the government. So now, we are even yet to talk about the CHAN. So
because last Friday, the minister, the cabinet secretary for sport, gazetted the local organizing committee. Yes. That is how many years since we got the hosting rights? We won the hosting rights in 2015, January. Yes. And now just only last Friday is when we are putting in place a local organizing committee. What can they achieve in 9 months?
In fact, they were just beating the deadline because we had been given up to February 3rd. Yeah. So you're simply beating the deadline.
Just to be seen to be doing something.
So it's really, even the local organization, they have a lot of, I mean, they have very little time. We're talking about 10 months. You know, I don't know what they can do in 10 months. But it will really be difficult for them to do something within those 10 months. So let's wait. CAFA, I think they are coming here later this month. So probably we'll hear from them what our fate is when they come here.
That's not the only, that's not the bad news only in Kenya, because a lot is happening again. Football Kenya Federation is at loggerheads with the Kenya Premier League over the handling of the expansion of the Kenyan Premier League. Guys, we've heard the other day that 3 teams were relegated. That is Thika United, Sofapaka, and Moroni. But then after an appeal, Thika United were reinstated.
Yes.
But now Kenya Premier League have put out a statement to say that as far as they are concerned, Moroni and Sofapaka are in the league. Yet FKF have already promoted 2 more teams, that is Kenya Commercial Bank as well as Vihiga United.
Yes.
How much of confusion are we seeing here, Gilbert?
Well, it's, there's a lot of confusion, which, if you ask me, it shouldn't be there. Because when the Sports Tribunal ruled, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, one thing they made very clear, that it is the responsibility of FKF to decide the number of teams that take part in the top league.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the Federation was trying to do. And so this other statement that came from KPL, really, it was a bit of a surprise. And so really, it's bound to create a lot of confusion. And I'm just seeing that, you know, the league may not even kick off when it's supposed to kick off. Because I'm sure KPL are they're going to stand their foot, and FKF will not back down. So we are in for a long ride, so far as the league is concerned.
Everyone thought that everything was now okay, and Ken. But suddenly we are seeing another rumble in the Federation as well as Kenya Premier League. Really, what's happening?
Yeah, it's a matter of now supremacy wars. I think that is what is there, because the Federation, as the governing body, wants to flex its muscles and of running football in the country. But KPL, again, also want to flex their muscles that the league is there. So what I'm seeing here...
What is not in question really is that they have all agreed on an 18-team league.
Yes.
But what is bringing problems is the issue of now Sofapaka and Moroni,
yes,
and the promotion of KCB and Vihiga United.
Yes.
Do you think, Gilbert,
yes,
that FKF did right to promote 2 teams that were not within the promotion bracket? That is KCB and Vihiga United.
Well, according to my understanding is, first of all, the reason why KPL's case is going to be difficult, because one, they agreed to subject themselves to the club licensing procedure and mode.
Yeah.
And it was very clear
Which
that...
is not a creation of FKF.
It's not, yeah. It's not a creation of... It's from CAF, it's from FIFA, you know, just trying to professionalize club football in Africa. And so when the KPL clubs subjected themselves to the club licensing procedure, you know, they are bound to accept the results of, you know, what happened. And that's what happened. And that's why Sofapaka and Moroni and Thika United were given a chance to appeal. And when they appealed, I understand that they signed and agreed that they would be bound by the results of the appeal,
yes,
you know, and they would not challenge it anywhere. And so what my understanding is FKF, as you know, has always wanted to have an 18-team league since like the last 3 or 4 years. And so what happened is they just went back to the Nationwide League, Super League, the teams that were next, because KCB was 5th last season, and Vihiga was 6th, yeah? And these clubs had already gotten a license. So they're actually eligible to take part in the, you know, in the top league. And I think it's on that basis that they were promoted, yeah. So that's my understanding, yeah.
Quickly, Nato, because we are running out of time, just your final thoughts on the Kenya Premier League and FKF feud.
My final thoughts is that the parent body, FKF, should run the show. And see, it should also, because in this case, I know where the problem is coming, it's like there have been two centers of power, KPL and FKF. So in this sense, and with this notwithstanding, as long as it's there will never be peace in football. So
it's imperative that we have one center of power, which should be FKF,
which is
as stipulated by the FIFA rules.
And then KPL should be subject.
Thank you very much.
To FKF.
Thank you very much. I've been talking to Ken Nato, a veteran sports media consultant, and Gilbert Wandera, senior reporter here at The Standard. And remember, we've also talked about Cameroon winning the African Nation Championship for African Cup of Nations for the 5th time in their history, beating Egypt 2-1. I don't know, Michelle, if you watched that game last night.
I did. I was actually very proud of Cameroon. We were supporting them. You know, when Kenya is nowhere and East Africa is nowhere there, you know, we have no other option. Plus, I told you I was going to support the winning team either.
So if it would have been Egypt,
if they won, I would have been supporting Egypt. That's how it goes. Thank you so much, Robin, there with the Sports Chat. And it is on that sporty note that we wind up this edition of Morning Express. We thank you so much for watching. Do catch me tomorrow, same time, same place. Do have a good morning. I'll be back at the top of the hour with Worldview.